Okay, so we are lucky enough today to be joined by Joel Fearon. He is not only the 5th fastest man in Britain, but also an Olympic bronze medalist for bobsleighing. Thank you so much for joining us, Joel.
Thank you for having me. It is a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
That's brilliant. So if we can start off by discussing, how did it feel when you first stepped out at the Winter Olympics? Because not only have you got thousands of people watching you there, you know you've got millions of people watching you live on TV as well. How do you take on that pressure with all on that weight on your shoulders, knowing that you've got to go and achieve something for all these people?
I think one thing about Great Britain is we have a good concept of prepping our athletes before you get to that point. So by the time I was actually there in the moment, it was all as if it was planned and rehearsed to perfection by this point, because Team GB would have gone through every single scenario, everything that can go right and wrong before that. In terms of bobsledding itself, we had a structure, we had such a strong routine, is that it was all very surreal and very, very well done and executed. So I always sort of applaud Team GB as the preparation that they give us British athletes for an Olympics is for success. So absolutely, they made it easy for me, but yes, it could have been very daunting.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you didn't feel any pressure then, and you put that all down to that prep work before going forward to compete?
Yeah, because as you can imagine, building up to the day, you're feeling the pressure, and you know the time is coming, and you're counting down the days and the hours and the seconds and the minutes and all of that. But in the actual moment, it was so well rehearsed. It was a joy. I remember finishing with the boys, and we did our last run, and we got to the bottom, and big Bruce Tasker, one of my longtime friend and a training partner, and obviously Olympian with me, he was like, "Wow, that was it then." Well, that's that done. It was literally sort of that mentality, we did such the build up was bigger than the actual by this point. You know what I mean? And because we were prepared for all these problems that could, winter sport's a difficult one. So many things can go wrong. And obviously bobsleigh is dangerous. So again, so many things can happen. And none of it happened. It was all wonderfully perfect and went really well.
Well, that's brilliant. So obviously from your end, everything was perfect and went well, but it isn't actually as clean or as straightforward as that you winning that bronze medal, wasn't it? It was rather, I can't even think of the word, an interesting turn of events, wasn't it? How you went from actually what you thought was 5th to that bronze medalist. Could you tell us a bit more about what happened and the emotions you went through?
So at the time of coming 5th, we were content because we knew that we had done everything possible. We were upset the fact that we didn't get the exact result what we wanted to, but we were content because we know we left no stone unturned, and everything went perfectly wonderful, like I said. So we were like, okay, we didn't get the medal, but there's contentment there. We're okay. And I think it wasn't long after, talking about 6 months after, we then started hearing some of the stories that were coming out from the Russian Olympics and unfolding in, I think athletics first was the main driver of sort of what was coming out, and then it just spiraled and it was everything. And, it was a big state-funded doping program. And then as soon as I seen that information, then I said, yeah, we did do it, didn't we? We was good enough. We rightly so left no stone unturned, and we got the reward. Maybe not at the right time or the time we would have loved to share it with our country, because literally I've never felt so much support in my life. Like, we had the support of our whole nation. I've never been so proud. There's been times I've worn British flags, but there was never a time I was so proud to sort of have the Union Jack on me. That was and I would have loved to celebrate it with the rest of the country, but it wasn't to be. But one thing that did come from us not winning, getting the medal on the right time is that it drove me to go on and do other things. So immediately I got home and I said, okay, we didn't get the medal there. I'm going to go sort of full-time into athletics and I'm going to make something happen here. And if it wasn't for that delay, potentially I wouldn't be one of the 5th quickest people that Britain's ever had, and not a sub 10-second runner, and ran against, you know, the best athletes in the world. I wouldn't have had that opportunity. So I always see it as a hidden blessing in disguise.
That's such a positive mentality to take from that. Because it could be so easy to say, oh, I missed out on my national anthem or missed out on standing up on that podium. But to take that positivity from it, it's fantastic. I've got to ask though, when you got that medal then, how was that delivered to you? Was it just in the post? Was there still a little bit of a ceremony for you? Did you and all the team?
Oh, there was a massive, again, Team GB went far and beyond for us. That we got it at the Team GB ball. We given to it, Princess Anne gave it to me personally, put it around my neck, and you know, and it was a wonderful celebration. I always say as well, like I had one son when I did the act of getting the medal, but by the time I received it, I had 3 sons, so I had much, a lot more to enjoy it with, and they got to see a little bit of sort of the history of sort of the work that I've done, and they got to relive that a little bit, which was lovely for me and the family and my wife, and you know, because it's not always easy being a professional athlete and a father, and you know, and stuff like that. So it can get tricky. So it was a lovely occasion for us all.
Ah, that's so nice. Again, it's so nice to hear that positivity oozing from you. I say what some people would look as a real negative. I think that's so good. So yeah, so you're 5th fastest man in Britain, Anna Bob sledding bronze medalist. How did them two sort of disciplines come together? Which one came first? It was like, I was more passionate about that and then found to do this, or was it the other way around? Like, because they're really...
I'll be deadly serious with you here. I mean, so this is the truth. So my coach at the time, who came from Kazakhstan, he'd been working with me for 2 years. He started working with British bobsleigh. So, and he's seen the athletes. At this point, I'd already ran for Great Britain as a sort of 20-year-old sort of young man. I went to the European indoors, so I was already sort of a budding potential prospect. But I wasn't funded or anything, so I didn't have any support. So things were very difficult for sort of me home-wise, and I had my oldest son now, but he was my only son at the time. And he said, these guys will help support you, and you help them to get funding. So they will support you and you will support them, and come and join sort of the bobsleigh team. And I always said, no. I said, absolutely not. I was, there's no way. I don't like cold. I don't like heights. I don't like winter. I don't really like driving fast. I don't like it. I don't like any of it. Nothing agrees with me. So he went as far as to bring in the national bobsleigh trials to Loughborough. So I just thought I was turning up for training. And there's all these different guys here, these Marines and these soldiers and some massive blokes and all these guys. And he says, today, this is what you were doing. I couldn't run away. They were there in front of me, and he introduced me to Gary Anderson at the time. And we sort of hit it off from there. I mean, me and Gary Anderson had a really, really good relationship. He was the performance director of bobsleigh. He supported me like as if I was part of his actual family. He supported me sort of financially, mentally, in any way necessary. My coach sort of traveled all year in the winter with me, and then all year in the summer with me. So he was on the same strict regime as I was. So the commitment from some of the people around me were like something that I can never sort of overlook. And I didn't like it. I went down. I said, I hate this. Is horrible. I hate it. Don't want to do it. So my coach took my passport. Said, well, you're not going anywhere. You got to live it out now. We're here already. So we're in the Alps somewhere. And he says, nope, you will finish this journey. And I remember having a conversation with my wife. My wife said, you don't like it, you know, just come home if you have to. And I think there's something about me that is important that if I start something, I must see it through.
Nice.
So I must at least finish. So I was like, okay, I'm going to at least finish the year. I won't just give up. I will finish at least this year. At the end of that year, we got a surprise, amazing result it was 10th. But what that did is got the whole program funded. It got me funding by UK Sport. And then the team was born, I think, from that point on. We had 2 years out from the Olympics, and they put everything into us to get in that Olympic medal. And yeah, but it wasn't straightforward as in, I want to do bobsleigh. I was like, I don't want to do bobsleigh. But it turned out very well. And again, it gave me such an important lesson of finishing what you started. Like, no matter how dark and bleak it seemed at the time, to actually know how far you've come or whatever you've done, you must finish. You can't just stop halfway through and be like, well, I had a go. Well, you didn't, because you don't know your outcome. So yeah, and if I didn't finish that year, I wouldn't be an Olympic medalist, and I probably wouldn't be a sub-10 runner. So it was all sort of building to something, and it was all like, you know, just having to persevere through some of the difficult times.
Oh, that's fascinating. So you've done a big team event with bobsleighing, and obviously running is when you're on the track. I know there's lots of teams behind you when you're training, but when you go forward, it's just you. Do you put more pressure on yourself when it's just you running, or did you feel more pressure on yourself because I've got 3 other lads with me here and they're relying on me as well?
So bobsleigh is fun. Bobsleigh is fun. I mean, as long as you don't have a crash and get messed up. Bobsleigh is fun. Like, so, you know, I'm with my friends. These are my actual mates. And we are doing something risky. So it's exciting. It's fun. We are for each other. If I messed up in bobsleigh, I would be more upset because I would have let my team down. But I'm still enjoying myself because it is fun. I'm in a good environment. I'm around good people. I'm happy. We're competing. We're, you know, pushing the boundaries together. And the days that you are down, there is someone to pick you up. Athletics is very, very lonely sport. It's a lot of track and field athletes, they don't sort of carry many friends, and they spend a lot of time alone. And there's a lot of time of you just traveling around the world by yourself, you know, going to competitions here and there. You have probably a small training group, 3, 5, 6 athletes, that's it. And even then, they're your training group and also your competitors, so it doesn't bring the most amount of bonding into it. So it's a different kind of pressure. The pressure is for athletics is that it's just me. Like, I'm doing this all, and I need an outcome because it's only me. This is all about me. This is the Joe Fearon show when you're doing athletics. So that has its own pressure. But then when you're part of a team, you're having a good time a lot of the time. But then if you make a mistake, then you feel that all of a sudden that pressure comes down on you again. Where I think athletics, you have more constant pressure. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So when you're doing things by yourself, you have sort of a constant pressure. Where when you're in a team, you have fun, and then there's moments of loads of pressure, and then it goes, then it's fun again.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's nice. I do sometimes think, is it easier being in a team? But I guess it sounds like you said it's the same. It's just the pressure spread out in different ways.
Yes, exactly.
So what are you up to now then? Because obviously I know you're obviously still training, I'm sure. And I also think you're involved in charity work now as well, isn't it? So what are you focusing all your energy on right now?
I've got my energy focused absolutely everywhere. I am, so I'm super driven. I'm really, really driven. Why am I so driven? I have not even got to the point yet of understanding why that I am the way I am. But I do enjoy waking up every morning with something to tackle. So at the minute, we've got a charity with Speedworks charity, which is helping sort of less fortunate sort of young people, giving them the tools, because the thing is, I travel around so many schools, see so many young people, and then some need help. Some are so talented and have literally the ability to take their family so far out of poverty and into the golden land, and they don't know it. Their parents sort of don't know it, or have the time or money to invest, because like my parents were just working. That's what they did. Like, they couldn't invest necessarily in my life as much as they would have liked to, because actually they were keeping us all fed and keeping us all alive, and that sort of was the point. And and sometimes I see so many young people that are so talented, and I just want to literally like show them the direction. And for me, it's about helping direct young people, showing them where their gifts are, how to get the most out of their gifts, giving them options. Even there's a little kid that I've seen that his PE teacher he's such a talented football player. His PE teacher, at lunchtime, his PE teacher gives him football boots, sets up a football goal and all this stuff, and he's doing all these amazing skills. And and I have a son similar age, and I just think that and when he goes home, he doesn't get to do any of that. He doesn't get to join a club. He doesn't get to do anything beyond that. And it's just such a real shame, because I'm like, you'd be a little star in your neighborhood, mate. You'd be like the local hero, and sort of, and just being able to put him into a football club, having him be able to get there and pay his membership and use that part of himself every weekend and compete and really get a real sense of worth. I think that's what sport gave to me. It gave me, I think, a sense of worth. It gave me a sense of purpose, and it let me know that I had value. And I think value is a massive thing for young people, because you're always trying to find out where you fit in life. Also, I work with Speedworks. So I do mentoring there, and mentor a lot of football players, and mentor young athletes, and mentor. You can always get involved with that down at Speedworks training, which is massive for me, because again, it's sort of my directing and what I do. And also I have a big fun day coming up on the 18th of October, where sort of I'm going to get bobsleighs out, going to get some of my training equipment out and do it down at Loughborough University. But it's all the information on the website. If you go onto the Speedworks website, it'll be all on there, and they can come and just take pictures, have fun, see what they're good at, see what they don't like, see what I don't know. You might find our next future superstars there. And just have a nice day with it. I do have, because I have boys, I do like to make sure that the kids get get good quality time spent with young people and helping that journey.
Oh, that's really sounds like a great charity. We'll obviously link it below as well. But I bet kids must love someone with you with such positivity, and you seem like you've got quite a lot of energy as well, where you were saying you've got very driven. It must be quite inspirational for children to hear you come in and say that sort of stuff and show that belief in them by investing in them as well. I think I can only imagine how much good you must be doing for these younger people in school right now.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So with your success in running, bobsledding, and now this incredible charity work, I've got to ask you an important question. Do you think school education helped you become so successful in these many different areas that you are focusing your energy on at the moment? Now, I do ask everyone to be as honest as possible at this point.
No.
I know we're a school, but we know not everything is learned.
I was having this conversation with my son just a couple of days ago, and I wasn't the best at school. I wasn't not because of whatever. I'm quite dyslexic, and I sort of immediately used that as an option. That's what I was. I was dyslexic, that sort of. I sort of stunted my growth by giving myself that label, which allowed me to potentially take an easier path than I should have. So there's, I think it's come up a few times sort of in this podcast already. So we learn from uncomfortable things. Learning isn't always fun, regardless of it. It's not always fun. But that's sort of where we learn the most, when we're up against the most challenges and the most going on. And I sort of backed away from that challenge really early. I didn't carry on broadening and trying to push my English, my writing and my spelling. And now it's a problem for me. Real life now, I sort of, my wife has to proofread all my stuff, and You know, and so sometimes even just filling out forms. Yesterday, my son was going somewhere, fill out the form, and you know, it's still a thing for me. It's still something that I didn't conquer when I should have. So it's not played a part in to my current success, yeah, but it is playing a part now in my beyond this moment and the things that I go on to do and my limitations. And I think we were having this because my son was like, I'm just going to be like you. And I was like, no, you need to be like me and better. You need to make sure you tick all the boxes and you have all the skills. And for me, education is mad because I would never have said this ever growing up. I would never have said that education is a big deal, but it is a big deal because stuff that I'm going back to learn now, potentially I could have already done this, you know, but such is life. And I get to say that now because I'm old. I'm older. I've got one more Olympics coming up as well. So we still got a Winter Olympics coming up in February, end of February. So obviously all you guys can follow my journey, maybe give you a shout out on BBC, you never know. Yeah, so we still got a little bit of sport going on, but it definitely not necessarily education hasn't stopped me, but it is now becoming an unnecessary hurdle that I have to jump at some point.
I think that's such a brutally honest way you've just explained your education time, and I think that's a really sort of interesting topic that if we could just touch on just for a little bit. The fact that you got given that label and you felt that allowed you to sit back. Do you think that we should not be telling people what their disabilities are, or do you think it should have been approached in a slightly different way?
See, this is a difficult one. I also have a son that has potentially got no. It has it's like a ADHD, right? So this is what it's borderline in. Maybe it, maybe not. It may be. And this is another thing that. So he will always be himself, my son. But he will still always live in this same world we live in. So for me, like myself, he still needs to learn coping mechanisms to be able to function in society. And I still needed to learn coping mechanisms for my dyslexia to be able to function. This is the world that I want to be successful in. This is the world in which I live in. This is the world in which I want to have a fruitful life. So coping mechanisms are important, and we all have things. Everybody has something. Nobody is necessarily the perfect human. Everybody has issues with different parts of their life, right? And, you know, some people struggle with confidence. Some people may struggle with even just exercise and getting out and wanting to be. But the reality is we all have to address these things. They can't just be just left. Otherwise, they just stay there and nothing ever changes. And I'm a big strong advocate of finding, before we sort of label and put them into a category and sort of give them a different route. I'm always about being able to fit in, if to an extent, and be able to, you know, you don't have to, because it requires probably about 1,000 times more effort for me to read a book than it does someone else. But ultimately, the book's still got to get read, and I still need this information. So I have to find a way to do that. And there's other ways, and we've got audio books and whatever. But the point is that I still need to be able to access that knowledge. I still need to be able to find a way. And I don't like the easy way, because I don't believe that there's growth in that.
That's great. And that word growth as well, I think that's such an important word as well. That's what people have to continuously be striving to, growing and becoming So with all that in mind then, and that you had those setbacks at school, what is one thing you wish was taught you in school that you think would have helped you become more successful more quickly?
So this is super important. This is probably the most important thing, and the most important thing to every young person growing up. And when I go out and do my talks, this is the most important thing for me, is that so I wasn't very good at sport growing up. I wasn't just a phenomenon. I wasn't like, I had to, it's something that I had passion about. So, you know, if you ask my wife at the time, who was my girlfriend back then, years ago, and I'd be up all night looking at running videos, learning who the best athlete was, studying, trying, challenging, speaking to all coaches all over the country, all over the world, creating good relationships so I could get, you know, back and forward knowledge. Basically, I had to learn how to run fast. And by learning how to run fast, it taught me that anything can be learned, because physical is one of the things that people say, no, it's a given gift and it's who you are and it's who you are. But if I've learned how to run fast, and I can learn how to do absolutely anything. And I think for all sort of the young people out there, we all learn and grow in our different ways and different rates, and we have different triggers. But everything is accessible, especially in the day that we live in now. You can literally learn to do stuff just on, you know, I'm a barber now because I've got 3 boys. I can't be paying for all of that. I'm a good barber too. You learn it off YouTube. Do you know what I mean? And, I got people, I go on season now with my bobsledders, and they're like, mate, can you give me a little lineup? Can you give me short back and sides? Can you whatever? Because I've learned how to do it. And the reality is you can learn how to do anything. There's nothing you can't. I know a guy who built his whole kitchen by himself. Him and his mate learn how to do it. And to like the age we live in is the age of information. You learn to do absolutely anything. And I think I always say, like, don't wait until you're 1,000 years old to be the person you want to be. Wake up that person in the morning. Like, if this is what you are and this, how would they act? How would they be? How would you go? Start being your best version of yourself today.
That's great. That is such good advice to pass on to the younger generation, I definitely believe. So one final question then, okay. What is your fondest memory of your time at school? So it wasn't as easy, like you've already touched on, but there must still be those memories there that you look back on with a big
of course. Of course. What was my fondest memory of school? You know what? I enjoyed school. I wasn't quite a good kid. But it would have been my fondest memory. Oh, I can't narrow this down. I might have to give you a few. So I moved school to Coventry when I was about in year 9 or something like that. And you know what? I just got some really good friends that are still friends now, still people I can be with now, and probably just me having fun with my mates. Do you know what I mean? I was a bit of an odd bud a little bit. Was I an odd bud? I was a little bit. I was still driven then, but just in whatever I wanted to be driven in. But I was a bit of an odd bud. I didn't, what did I wish though, I do wish that I wish the teachers in my schools, right? This is the reality. So this would be a check to all the teachers out there that are listening. I wish they could have seen more of my strengths and my weaknesses. I think I got daily reminded of stuff I wasn't good at, but I can't remember an occasion. Only one teacher, sort of Mr. Beckles, in my school, and it's probably my fondest moment. And he just said to me, you know what, mate, you're special. And that was enough. That was enough. That moment, I was special. But imagine I only heard that once. You know, only one person in school told me that there was something about me, and that probably was my fondest moment.
That's a really, really nice memory to have. Well, it's upsetting that it wasn't that many. At least you still got that one person to look back on. So where can where can we follow your story? Obviously, with the Winter Olympics coming up and all your charity work, where can we find you online and what's your handles?
I don't know. Well, Joel Fearon 6 is my Instagram and my Twitter and so it's just my name, Joel Fearon, number 6. Don't know where it comes from. My wife says I must want 6 kids. I said it absolutely not. But there is 6 of us now. So I've got 3 boys, 1 girl, and me and my wife. So actually that does make 6. Joel Fearon 6. Actually never thought about that. Yeah, and that's sort of, and then you've got me, if anyone wants to see me, have a mentoring session with me, or come and even meet me to see what life is for a sort of Olympic dad, athlete, medalist guy. You can book in and see me on there. And yeah, sort of just follow my story. But I think I knew from a young age that whatever success I was granted in life, it was to be used to encourage others. And like I knew that was a thing. I remember moving to Loughborough, and I was training with the best sprinters in the country. And at this point, I was still a bit rubbish. All right, but every bit of success that they had at this point, and me watching, I was just honored to be part of their journey and to help them get and be the best training partner I could be at that point. And I think, and that's been sort of my motto, that anything I could do, I want to be able to teach others to be able to do the same and more with less headache.
That's brilliant. I must admit, I could highly recommend, if people will have the opportunity to reach out and come to meet you. I mean, we've only met over line, but I can feel the positivity just coming from you. And I can imagine being around you, it must be so easy to pick those vibes up, because I say, even just talking to you online, I can just tell everything you're saying is positive, and see the energy of you moving and talking and everything, it just oozing out of you. So I could only imagine what it must be to be around you and learning from you as well. Honestly, reach out if you are looking for someone like that. That's brilliant. What mentoring do you do then? I know it's kind of wasn't a plan question or anything, but you said about mentoring. What sort of mentoring do you offer?
Yeah. So, well, I do mentoring in all things, mainly athletes, because the life of, or the land of an athlete and sort of the mental challenges are nearly 50% of the physical. So just being able to coach athletes through with healthy mindsets. Being a sports person can be a very, very lonely place. Or trying to even pursue sports as a career can be, challenging for the mind, and just about just getting them through that and giving them good perspective. And also using that, like we were saying earlier, that actually you learn the most in the uncomfortable moments. So almost celebrate in them. Like, no, if something's difficult and it's tricky, be joyful in those moments, because when they come to fruitfulness, it will be a great day for you. And just helping to understand it's not one directional. It's it's about how you get up and deal with the new challenges. Yeah, absolutely.
Very nice. Well, thank you very much for your time today. We'll link all your social media down below. And obviously, we wish you all the best for the Winter Olympics coming up next year. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for watching our podcast today. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to make sure you never miss out on the new ones we post every Monday and Wednesday. If you are interested in enrolling yourself or someone else into the British Online School, be sure to visit our website, britishonlineschool.co.uk, or you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and send us a direct message there as well. Just use the handle @BritOnlineSchool, spelled SCH, and you can find all our links below. Have a fantastic day, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.